So let me just be clear what I mean by the big picture and having clarity about the big picture. What I mean is two things. First, to have clarity about how close we are to tipping points and these planetary boundaries. That clarity is not in schools, it's not in the media, it's not in public discourse, it's not in COP negotiations, it's not in COP coverage. We don't have clarity about planetary boundaries. This is not the starting point for our discourse, for our actions. So we don't measure ourselves and we don't measure the relevance or significance of our actions by these planetary boundaries. And by missing out on that basic chemical, physical law, then we can get distracted because we don't know the proper proportion of things. So we have to frame things properly. So this is what I mean by the big picture. And the Climate Academy insists on this CUT-X index. The CUT-X index tells you very precisely, every nation of the world, what your responsibility is in order to get The second thing that we need clarity about is the big concept of growth, economic growth. So here, of course, this is a church, and the church was the dominant cultural force in Europe for centuries. And we associate with the church things like dogmas, like the idea there's like fundamental beliefs that can't be questioned. So people, especially since Nietzsche, you know, he's famously atheist, famously anti-church, anti-establishment, then this idea of dogma is normally associated with things like the church or intransigent, fixed religious belief. But actually, we do have an intransigent, fixed, quasi-religious belief in our modern economies, and that is our attachment to growth. Growth is a dogma which can't be questioned. So just, you know, when Nietzsche was saying his anti-religious ideas, he was considered to be radical. He was a cultural vandal. Now, today, if you start to talk about degrowth, or if you pull into question the notion of continual economic growth, then you're treated as if you're some sort of like slightly weird. But just think about it for a second. We have constructed our entire economies on the idea that we need to every year grow the economy. Let's say by 3%, 2-3% every year. That is what we need to do in order to keep things going. So capitalism demands this growth. But imagine you constructed an aeroplane, and this aeroplane would only stay in the air if every year it flew 2 or 3% faster. Now, that would be a ludicrous invention. And yet, that's how we have constructed our whole socio-economic base. So, when I say question the big picture, what I mean is, first of all, these planetary boundaries, and secondly, to pull into question the notion of economic growth. And being here in front of this, the church doors of Nietzsche, Nietzsche was a punk. Nietzsche was very funky. I should maybe do this whole video with a nail through my nose or something, and wear leather and shave my head. Okay, the thing is that Nietzsche was a cultural vandal. He was a cultural hooligan. And many people applaud him now, like, yeah, Nietzsche, you know, you were a champion of radical thinking. Do we not need that kind of prophetic thing now with the economy? Do we not need to just come back to what Nietzsche did and ask the radical question? This is what is so valuable about Nietzsche. Nietzsche was willing to stand outside of mainstream culture. He was willing to question all of his beliefs. And that's what we need to do today with the economy. That's what we need to do today about environmentalism. We cannot afford to keep environmentalism and ecology as some sort of comfortable thing for nice people, that, you know, if you're good and you volunteer for things and you eat bio apples and you do a bit of recycling on the side, we cannot have the environment marginalized as some sort of cozy, comfortable thing for virtuous people. It's something which is fundamentally important for everybody. And we have to be willing to be vandals about the current status quo. And we have to be willing to ask the big questions about the economy, about politics, about the way in which our values are structured, just like Nietzsche did at the door of Western culture when he was alive at the end of the 19th century. We are now at a pivotal moment in culture. Nietzsche was on the hinge of a new century, a whole new matrix of values and of culture. We stand at a similar hinge today. We stand at the doorway now of a whole new world which is opening up, because nature will not tolerate that much CO2 in the atmosphere. The circuitry of our systems is about to be blown by our carbon emissions. So whether we like it or not, we are up for massive cultural change. The question is, are we prepared to look at that? Are we prepared to do something about it beyond just comfortable clichés?